yes, people. Hello. In case you're not sure what you've just tuned into, I am Claire.
And I'm Akumu. And we are the
Yes Girls.
We are, as you already know, or maybe you don't, we are two Nairobi-based Wanderlusters who are making it our mission to say yes to doing, being, and learning something different every 2 weeks. And we document our journeys. So this podcast is a strange but interesting result of us saying yes to sometimes challenging, sometimes fun, sometimes entertaining, and sometimes downright outrageous experiences.
Akumu, show me your fingers. Come on,
yes.
Show me your fingers.
Why? Not that I'm particularly self-conscious about my fingers, but now I don't have my nails. That's an odd way to start a podcast. What's up?
Not when your podcast is the Yes Girls.
True. Expect the unexpected.
I want to check specifically the color of your fingers.
The fingers or the nails?
Fingers. Forget your nails.
I guess kind of brown. White, pink, a bit ashy if I'm not moisturized.
So not green?
Nah, not green.
Sure?
I would be a bit worried if they were green. I don't even like green.
Well, for this episode, you see, we're going to have to see if we have green fingers because we are saying yes to being plant parents.
Ooh, did I give birth to a cactus?
Ooh,
Do I have to give birth to one?
I hope not.
Not as a human, clearly. Maybe in an egg. Do I have to raise them until they're 18 and then wait for them to look after me in retirement?
Sadly, no. Though, to be honest, I don't think we'll be able to keep them alive for that long.
Maybe you, not me. Okay, so let's see what this being a plant parent business is all about.
Season 4 of this podcast is really zoning in on some essential 21st century, highly desirable, sometimes highly marketable, and always useful skills that are deliberately chosen to inspire, educate, and entertain the 21st century success story. We have an expert, and in this episode and this season, we also turn to the future.
That's right. We turn to yes, girls and boys.
And everything in between.
Of the next generation, i.e. kids. So we want to see what they have to say about the topics we have selected in terms of challenges. You'd be really amazed what kids pick up on. It's usually because they display some kind of optimism and curiosity that many of us mature in quotes, lose along the way in the quagmire of puberty, taxes, responsibilities, and just trying to keep up with TikTok.
We know that everyone these days,
especially since the pandemic,
has at least experimented with having plants or cultivating an indoor forest with varying degrees of success. Everyone seems to think it's super easy until they try it. And then some thrive and some just die. The plants, that is, not the people.
Hopefully, ideally.
For this episode, we did things a bit differently. Instead of having one expert to guide us, we crowdsourced our expertise. We used a Facebook group called Nairobi Plant Lovers, and we also talked to family, friends, and of course the Yes Kid for this episode. Actually, maybe we should hear from them before we go any further.
Yep.
What's your name?
Maria Keza.
And Maria, now tell me, what do you know about being a plant parent? What do you think that means, being a plant parent?
To plant some plants and to water them.
Oh, you water them?
Yes.
And then?
As you keep them safe.
Oh.
So some animals do not eat them. As you put on top, it was kind of is it a oil?
What for?
It's for putting up so those things, flies, they don't eat them.
So you're keeping them safe from the animals? Are you a plant parent?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
So you have plant babies?
Yes.
How many?
Like 7. I think so. 11.
11? Wow. You're a good plant parent. I think you're better than me.
Yeah.
That's an awesome kid right there.
Thank you, yes, kid. So the rules were that we had to get 2 plants of any type each, indoor plants, and be their parents from the start of season 4 prep back in, I think, April,
Yes.
up to the recording of this episode today, which is now end of July. That we considered was long enough to be able to see if we had what it takes to raise happy plant babies into plant adults or
kill them.
All right, be a bit less dramatic. I feel bad enough about my plant parenting as it is.
Okay, so I think you need to start.
Okay, I might as well get it out of the way. I love plants. I need to say that right away. I think the problem is that, in fact, I love them too much. You know how you can suffocate someone with love and affection or spoil someone with kindness or goodness? Well, I do that, and they can't cope. So more than, honestly, any other episode so far, this is the one that I most wanted to succeed at because I've wanted to be a successful plant parent almost my entire life. I love plants. They make me happy. They make me very truly happy, in fact. I think that's what makes my failings even worse.
Vice versa might not be true.
Shut up. Exactly. That's what makes my failings even worse because the disappointment in myself and the knowledge that I destroyed something so beautiful that I love so much is what really gets to me. I used to read books with my head flat on the table so as not to bend the spines. You know, like I would lay my head flat on the table next to the book so I could only open the book a little bit. I used to keep my makeup palettes when I wore makeup pristine. Okay, like don't poke your fingers. Like in my Vaseline, right? Even Vaseline now, like it has to have an even surface.
So you're the kind of people who don't like dog ears and shit like that.
No, I don't.
God.
Okay, I don't mind dog-eared things, but I don't like to destroy beautiful things. If they are beautiful and pristine, I like to keep them that way. Even if we know from previous episodes that I can't necessarily create beautiful things myself. Actually, maybe that's the whole problem.
Maybe that's the problem.
So I have, therefore, had many plants in my life, but have almost unfailingly had to grieve them after some time. Some last longer than others, and somehow it's once they peak and at their most beautiful and make me the most happy that they then drop off and wither, wilt, and die.
So just to add, so for you, this challenge was how to be a successful parent, not just a plant parent. How to be a successful plant parent. That's what you were trying with this challenge.
Aren't we trying to be successful at any challenge?
But for you specifically this, like you're not totally new at this.
I wish I was. No, exactly. So I am very lucky and grateful to have some very successful plant parents around me. So my friend Munyao, my mum, my good friend Valerie, they have greener fingers than I could ever wish to have. Even I could never have fingers that green, even if I dipped my fingers in fluorescent permanent dye. As there's that word dye again. Just can't help it.
Yeah.
But I think, okay, this is serious now. I think they have more patience and they're more consistent and more observant than me. Okay, that's my theory.
But you're consistent.
Not when it comes to living things.
Saxo is still alive.
Luckily, he can mostly fend for himself, sort of, these days. So, with these 2 plants, I gave them all my attention. I learned from mistakes I've made in the past and also from the Facebook group. Remember, Nairobi Plant Lovers? That was our crowdsourcing source of expertise for this episode. And so when I got my plants home, I almost immediately repotted them, okay? Because any plants you buy in Nairobi, I don't know if you know this, but any plants you buy in Nairobi from the roadside, typically they're in red soil, which is good for outdoor plants, but not indoor plants. So I ordered some beautiful, rich compost manure. I never thought I'd say those 2 words together. And I got my 5 kg bag delivered to my doorstep, which just about filled the 2 pots that were housing my 2 new plants. So just to describe them a bit, and you can see them on our social media, of course, but one of them is your bog standard spider plant, which I know from experience because my mum has lots of them, is very difficult to kill. Challenge accepted. And the other, I think it's I confirmed this with one of our kind of experts is an alocasia, not alopecia, alocasia. Originating from the Facebook crowdsourcing, people said it was either an alocasia or a philodendron or an elephant ear. Or maybe all those three are the same thing under different names. I don't know. But I gave them my own names. Basically, boy's name. One had a boy's name and one had a slightly ambiguous non-gendered name, which I then kept getting wrong. So that's not great young parent behavior, is it? Not knowing your own baby's names.
No,
so that was not a great start. So once they were safely rehomed in their new soil, I started monitoring how they were doing. Okay. So I realized quite early on that my spider plant was getting too much water. So I slowed down. Well, that was my theory. I did the old finger in the soil test. You know, you dip your finger in at least an inch down and see if it comes out dry. Stop laughing. Is it because I'm pointing my finger up in front of your face?
Yeah.
So for those
you're
only
literally
listening,
doing the actions.
I am putting my finger down into the air in front of us and then poking it up near Akumul's nose. So I also thought that maybe it wasn't getting enough sun because it seemed to be going a little bit kind of like dark brown, I think. Like the edges were kind of not crisping, like curling. So anyway, I moved it away from the wall to a more central location, kind of in between two opposite windows. So it went from just about surviving to thriving, I'm pleased to say. Okay, so that one we sorted. The other one, the one that was of dubious species to begin with, was a bit more up and down. So I tended to underwater it. Funnily enough, I usually do the opposite. I normally overwater. And then for almost all of this challenge, I managed to avert disaster. Until suddenly, overnight.
It's never sudden.
Trust me, it was overnight. I said goodnight to it one night, and then the next day I woke up. And I think it was when the cold season came to Nairobi, just like that. Like
What's the name of this plant?
His name was either Bob or Peter.
Oh my God, it's already a word.
It was when the cold season started, I think, like a cold snap is a good way to describe it. And I think maybe someone said a crossword to it, something, it got upset and it just gave up the ghost. So listen, here's the clip I want to play you. It's a long and heartfelt audio clip, so bear with me here. Sags, I have some very bad news to tell you.
Which one?
Why are you laughing? I have bad news.
No, I'm not laughing.
So, Peter, or was it Bill, or was it Bob? The nice leafy green plant, one of his leaves is dead. Are you sad?
I know. Yeah, the roots.
I aired the roots, I watered him, I gave him love, but he didn't want to prosper. I just don't think he's very resilient.
These pots, the roots in...
You can't blame the pots. You can't blame the pots. Blame the plant. The plant parent.
It's a pot.
It's the pot. Are you going to make holes in my pot then?
Let me look for a drill.
Okay, go look for a drill, please. Because the other one, I'm not letting the same thing happen to him. And he was doing so well. And then from one day to the next... something bad happened. Did you do something to him?
No.
Are you sure? Did you look at him funny? Did you get jealous of him? Because I was giving him so much love.
No.
So I'm happy to say that now... Am I happy? No.
No, you're not happy.
Well, okay, just bear with me. I'm happy to say that both leaves of that plant are now dead. But there is a new shoot. Okay, there is a bright green, you know that bright green new shoot, like the promise of new life? Right now, as we speak. So I'm thinking maybe it's just the natural cycle of things. Yeah, it just needed to like shed its old skin and grow a better, newer one. And so this is my theory. There's only so much of this plant parent stuff that's in our control. It's nature.
That's true.
Okay. So some
just
of it...
like human beings.
Exactly. Right? You can raise a child perfectly and it will still turn out to be a serial killer.
Exactly.
So basically, I think we should just leave it to nature. You know, resign yourself to it. Just accept it. And maybe that's why I'm not a very good plant parent, because I respect nature too much.
That's a good one. You almost convinced me.
Drop the mic. Can I drop the mic?
Totally.
No, okay, I'm not allowed to drop the mic. Apparently it's very expensive.
If metaphorically, you can drop it. Okay, so I have a question before I continue. So are you going to continue being obsessed with plants?
Always.
Or are you giving up?
No.
You'll keep being
Oh, yeah,
parent.
but I will give up. What I'm giving up on is being so harsh on myself and thinking that I can do it well.
That's true. So
But I still want to learn. I still want to learn. But I think I just need to accept that beauty doesn't last forever.
So how much do you think you are controlling? Is it 20, 40?
2.5%.
Really? Out of 100?
In my house, 2.5%.
I think there's a problem. 2. And
a
Munyao and your friends who are very good in your mom.
He's just on sacred ground, I think. That's
So
why
then
his
they do
plants
maybe
thrive.
30-40%.
No, he controls about all of it.
So he controls the nature around
I
it.
think he might be God.
We want to meet you, Munyao. Okay, so for me, on the other end, we are very different, as you might have known by now. So plants, to me, have always been, you know, the way you're in a restaurant and it's playing a soundtrack of music that you never even cared about. So it's literally, it's literally like invisible to your ear.
Yeah.
That's what plants are to me. If I enter a room, plants are literally the invisible people in the room because I never noticed them, never cared about them. If you remember season 2, where I said yes to being an online tour guide, you know that I'm not keen to non-human living things. None of them. I'm not keen on insects, not keen on animals, not keen on trees, and certainly not on plants.
And yet.
So I appreciate the plants. The only plants I appreciate are the ones I get to eat. Done. And I don't have to care for them. They're on a plate. That's it.
Someone else cooks them.
Exactly. And someone else grew them, you know? So being a plant parent, for me, I'm one of those, this is one of those Yes Girls challenges where I'm coming in completely green. That's a very good pun, right?
That's possibly the best pun you've ever come up with.
I know,
it's
right?
Genius.
Yeah, totally green. But yeah, I've never, ever had plants before. Never bothered to buy, to care for any. So I was in Kisumu at the time of this, when we were just starting this challenge.
International context pause. Kisumu is Kenya's second largest city in the west of Kenya by Lake Victoria.
Yes. And I think, you know the way you say Nairobi has red soil? I think I got the best soil with the plants that now my mom is the one who went and got them for me. Because I wouldn't even know where to get them.
I think that your entry into this Yes Girls episode is now null and void.
I'm still green and I still got the plants. And they're still alive and thriving.
Because you're not...
By the way.
Carry on. I will poke holes in your argument later.
You can enter in my argument and poke holes however you want, okay? Okay, so we got the 2 plants. She's poking holes on my arguments that has not even begun. Yeah, so my mom got the plants because she's an ardent plant parent. Even as a human parent, she overdoes her job.
Yes, she's a very good human parent.
She's just a parent. You know, she overdoes the parenting thing. Those genes did not come to me. So she bought the plants and I knew she would. I told her, so like we decided it was no cactus. So nothing that's super easy and nothing that's, I think we had rules, right? They have to be like green, leafy and indoor, right?
Yeah, green, leafy, no flowers, and not just grass or succulents.
Exactly. Yep. So there were actual plants. And what I learned now from the Facebook group was that mine, please bear with me, this name, I'm going to butcher it. It's a Dieffenbachia.
It's not a word.
Okay, that's the scientific name, but I think it's also /dum. So it's a dum cane. You've heard of dum cane, yeah. D-U-M-B. Dum cane. One of them was a dum cane, and the other is some kind of croton. It's not exactly a croton. It doesn't look like the croton that you'd search online because I think the ones online are very colorful. Mine is more green, but the ones with a light yellow aspect to them. I got them when they were really tiny, and I think the soil already had manure. So honestly, I didn't have to do much. I just used to, so I think my challenge for this the biggest challenge, like I told you, you have to keep to a routine, right? You have to water them and keep checking on them. So I was just telling Claire, even routinely, even showering, sometimes I have to put an alarm. So,
every time we're recording, an alarm goes off that is supposed to be reminding Akumu to shower. And then 5 minutes later it goes off and we think it's to remind her to dry herself.
So I'll probably not shower today because I'll forget. No, I'm joking. I will shower. Anyway, so I had to remind myself to check on the plants and water them. But so I told you I came in green, and I used to think plants, you water them every day. And then I was very shocked to realize, what? You don't water them every day? Or maybe in movies, they just make it seem like it's a daily thing. So that was my biggest learning about plants. They are easier than I expected. I actually expected to water them every day.
It's easier than expected.
Honestly, I expected daily watering. I have to remember every day. It's like shower. I thought it would be harder than showering. It's not. So, I'd water them every now and then. And, I was very proud of them. Now I understand how parents feel like, going to see your kids and they're doing nicely. Okay, nothing happened. Nothing has gone wrong with my plants. So I honestly feel like I have maybe cheated in this.
I agree.
I've cheated in this. Okay, or I just got perfect plants.
Who was mostly looking after your plants?
Me, when I was in Kisumu. So the context is I was.
Did someone remind you to look after them or tell you
every week once I'd be reminded, oh, have you checked on your plants?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it would be like Monday I'd check, Wednesday I'd check again. They'd still be wet, so I wouldn't water them. And then maybe Thursday I'd check again. And then Saturday, when I'm Netflixing, I'd forget. And then that's when my mom is sitting outside, right? Or just next to them, right? In the indoor outside patio. And then she'd tell me, oh, your plants. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I have children. So let me go and check the kids. I haven't even named my kids. So this is how detached.
You're such a detached parent,
and yet
they thrive.
And they thrive, the irony of it all. So, yeah, sometimes terrible parents get good children.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the moral of the story.
You can be a serial killer and then raise a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And then you can be a Nobel Peace Prize winner and
raise a serial killer. Yeah.
Moral of the story.
That's why I'm afraid to be a parent, as we have talked about it before. Anyway, plants are way easier than humans. Either way, I'd choose them over a human child to raise. So I honestly have nothing else to say because the plants are still doing really well. They're back in Kisumu. I'm now in Nairobi. It's been 3 weeks not with them, but my mom keeps sending photos and they're thriving. They have big leaves. They're so green. I was waiting for the only thing that went wrong was weeds. I got, you saw the photo of the little weeds. I got tiny little weeds. Even the weeds were cute. So that was the only dirty work I had to do. I had to remove the little weeds and they never came back again. So that was it. My successful plant challenge.
So after that interesting insight into both of our parenting techniques, we want to hear from some of our experts. Now, remember, we were crowdsourcing our expert advice this time from friends, family, and the community of this Facebook group, Nairobi Plant Lovers. So first, we looked to some of our online experts who gave us advice, encouragement, or realistic news on the Facebook group when we sought advice, posting photos or asking questions. One of my favorites was from Sharon. As I lamented at the sudden demise of one of my leaves, she said, "Forgive my ignorance, but it looks like mine when it's saying goodbye."
Temporary goodbye or permanent goodbye?
I think it's permanent.
And one of the most encouraging was from Gakenya, who said, "Hugs. Please don't quite give up. A small change and continued conversations of encouragement might just have a little shoot appearing in a month or so. So hold on." And that's what happened. And then the practical pieces of advice. This one was good. Akumu Fiona, you need to be careful with the Dieffenbachia,
whatever that name is.
Yeah, the dumb cane.
The dumb cane, as its sap can be toxic.
Ooh, so my perfect kids can be poisonous. Dang.
We also asked some bona fide experts for their opinion on what makes a successful plant parent. So let's hear from my mum. I think both of our mums are plant parents, but let's first hear from Ma Baker, my mum, on my plant parenting.
Claire as a plant parent. Claire has got all it requires. She's loving, she's caring, she's hardworking, she dedicates herself to her art, and she always is genuine when she engages with people or any creatures. I see her when she takes care of her nieces and nephews. She's the best auntie in the whole wide world. She treats them just like she treats her plants. She never forgets about them. She always showers them with affection and gives them her time and is playful and loving, and she has fun with them whenever she sees them. So, in theory, she's a perfect plant mummy. Alas, no, it doesn't work that way. She's got to be a mummy, not an auntie. She's got to make sure that when she's not available, there's something or somewhere, someone else who can take care of her plants. Just like her nieces and nephews are taken good care of by their parents. Is there somebody who takes care of her plants when she's not there? Is plant caring part of a daily routine? Is she trying to have too many plants in one go? Let's face it, nobody would want to have triplets, would you? One child at a time. The same for the plants. And check and learn and talk to your plants and get to know it. Move it from time to time. Water it, feed it when it needs watering and feeding, not when you got the time to do it. And yes, sometimes, just like your children, they will get sick, but then they will get better. Or if they don't, as far as plants are concerned, that's not a problem because they get back into the earth and they nourish the earth for another plant to grow. So, Claire, you are the perfect plant mum, but make sure caring for your plants is an everyday job wherever you are. Good luck, mummy plant. Bye.
Next, we hear from Sherry from Nairobi Plant Lovers, who is a very successful plant parent. In fact, she could raise a whole colony of plants.
My plant journey has just been trying to figure out what works with me and my schedule and my environment and what I can offer the plant. And I've had to curate my plants or the plants that I'm buying to plants that will work with me. So I would categorize myself as an easy plant parent. The plants that I buy are plants that are not fussy or don't need that much care. So that's mainly monsteras, philodendrons, and syngoniums. Pretty easy and good for first-time parents. But I do have some plants that I really, really love and they give me hell till this day, but it's a journey and you love them despite the fact that they keep dying on you and you keep reviving them. I'm on YouTube like an hour a day trying to figure out what's wrong with my plant. There are a lot of plants that will be sold to you and you'll be told, oh, this is such an easy care plant. This plant fits in any environment. But the truth of it is a lot of people who are selling you the plants don't have the full understanding of the plant, or the plant has just come out of a greenhouse where they were getting the optimum conditions for growth. But doing research on the plant will really help you understand the plant, know whether it's a good fit for you, and know how to take care of this plant, whether you need to buy a humidifier for it to increase the humidity, whether you need to water it. You might think you need to water this plant every single week, as you've been told, but in reality, you only need to water it every 2 or 3 weeks. So you overwatering the plant kills the plant, or how you're watering the plant kills the plant. So research is really important. You really need to research your plants. And there are a lot of things that can help you with this. YouTube videos, TikTok is where I started. There are apps that you can download that help you identify and also give you care tips on the particular plants that you have. I think my biggest tip when it comes to watering plants is that it's easier for you to kill a plant by overwatering it than underwatering it. Plants recover from underwatering much easier than they recover from overwatering. So you want to make sure that, depending on the plant that you have, you want to make sure that at least most of the soil is dry. So if you stick your finger into the soil, you want to make sure until at least depending on the length of your fingers, your second or your whole index finger can go in and you're not feeling any moist soil, then you should water your plant. So space out the watering of your plants. I would say generally water your plants every 1.5 weeks, but it really does depend on your plant. And that's why it's very crucial for you to do a bit of research on the type of plant that you have.
And now hear from Mama Akumu about her plant parenting techniques and mine.
Hello, guys. Today I want to talk about the way I take care of my plants, especially potted plants. I like planting flowers in pots because the pots normally have a hole under them, and then the pot is placed on a plate, so the pot sits on the plate. So it's the plate that carries any excess water. So every morning, or every day rather, it doesn't have to be morning, I check on the plate. If the plate has water, it means the plant is still not thirsty. So I don't water. So I keep on checking. If the plate still has water, I don't water the plant. But the day I find the plate empty, it means now the flower and the soil is thirsty. So I add water. And what I do, I check the soil. If the soil is soft, wettish, so it means it still has some water. So I add just a little bit of water on the plate. But if I find the soil is hard, then it means the soil is thirsty. So I add water directly on the soil. Then the cycle repeats itself. I keep on now checking again whether there's water on the plate or not. So when there's water, I don't add. When there's no water, I add some water. In that way, your plants will grow very healthy. And my daughter Fiona also, a couple of days back, planted some 2 flowers in 2 pots. And she's been following my way of taking care of flowers, and I think her flowers are now doing quite well. So guys, that is how I take care of my potted plants. Thank you.
So now that we don't have an expert to rate each other, to rate us, we get to rate each other. Okay. I'm going to rate you first.
So are you rating the plant parenting or the result of my plants?
Both. Because I would say the result of your plants, I haven't seen the latest photos, but definitely on the high, 8, 9, 10.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I think you were a very lazy, absent parent.
Very much. You can't blame me. My kids are perfect.
But that's the thing. See, it's other people basically raising your kids. And they just happen to be born with perfect genes, right? The right soil. They're in a warm, very stable climate.
Yes.
Right? Whereas mine were dealing with cold snaps. They were dealing with trauma. They were dealing with too much love.
Micromanaging parent.
Exactly. A tiger mom or whatever you want to call it. So
helicopter mom.
I think your plants had a huge genetic advantage.
That's true.
One of them is even called dumb cane. Like whatever's dumb thrives, right? Because it doesn't ask questions. So overall, I would give you a 5.7.
What took me down? Because my laser fair parenting.
You did nothing.
I was watering them. Okay, I didn't need to do much. That's true.
Exactly. But 5.7 I think is quite generous.
It's very generous though for a greenie like me.
You're green, but your fingers are not.
Not green, exactly. For you, I think because your passion is what is saving you. I think. Which is unfortunate because that's a classic case of helicopter parents. You're giving too much love and it just turns and, blows up in your face. So I think your passion drives you, and the fact that you just love plants so much, and you're over there, even poking the soil. I'll just give you a 7, because you have the love for the plants.
Thank you. I do. And if anyone has
whether they
plants
love you
out
or
there,
not,
please send me. Actually, join Nairobi Plant Lovers group, even if you're not in Nairobi, and just share images of your plants thriving, or tag us on photos of your plants thriving, because it makes me so happy.
Fun fact, that group was actually started by Claire. That's how much passion and love she has.
But that's why people are so surprised that I'm such a terrible plant parent myself, because they assume I'm the ultimate plant parent.
And how many followers does it have? How many
We're
group
getting
members?
close to 3K.
Yeah. So honestly, the world has been unfair to you. You need to be good. You need to have, maybe I'll gift you my plants. Will that help?
No, because they're going to die.
Oh shit, you're going to kill my perfect kids. Yes. But they're so easy. You can try it for 2 weeks.
Okay, to be fair, I do have some plants that I have had for a long time.
And they're
okay. Just not that many of them.
Let's try. We can do an experiment where I give you mine for like 2 weeks. If you kill them, you're the problem.
Okay. or Nairobi, or the soil, or
Nairobi.
Something.
Yes, but you'll be a big part of the problem if you die. My mom will bring them to Nairobi.
If you want to see how green your fingers are and finally become a successful plant parent, check out the show notes for links to all the resources mentioned, and check out our Instagram to see how we and our experts have made the world a greener place. Want to know the easiest way to be a yes boy or girl right now? It's an easy do, be, learn approach. Starting with do. Simply subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you're listening to us, on Afropod, Spotify, Castbox, wherever. Just click subscribe or follow, and that way you'll know anytime there's a new episode.
And for the B, this one is very easy. Be a sharer. Spread the word about this episode, plant parenting, or whatever you want, or anything about this season on social media. And don't forget to tag us at Yes Girls Podcast so that we can show you some love. And you could also tag each of us at Fiona, at Akomo Fiona, and at Claire Baker everywhere.
At you got both of our Instagram handles wrong.
Half Baked Claire. Yes.
At Akomo Fiona and at Baked Claire.
Yes.
And finally, for the learn, what's your biggest takeaway from this episode or the entire season? Don't keep it to yourself. Spread the learning with others by leaving us a rating on Spotify or a review wherever you're listening to us. It really helps others to discover the show. That's it. A do, be, learn approach you can say yes to with us in just a couple of minutes.
And if you don't already follow us, again, ad nauseum. That's at Yes Girls Podcast. We are waiting for you to follow us. Go there and find everything you want to know about, our episodes, behind the scene footage, resources, images, anything we get up to while we're doing Being and Learning.
And you can even laugh at us some more. And you can slide into our DMs or comment on what you like. And if you have suggestions of what we can say yes to, or if you want to get involved with sponsorship or collaborations with the show, then please reach out to us. Let water be poured all over Sampisha Productions out of Snowball Studios.
I hope not as a flood.
Not a flood, just the right amount of water. So out of Snowball Studios, along with Ernest and Rioba, who produced this episode, we will whisper sweet nothings into the buds of Kags of Eterno Concepts, who did our amazing logo design, so that he can continue to grow and flourish. We would pour compost manure, in a good way, all over Pedo Brown, who composed our theme song, and we could fill a whole garden with our Yes Kid for this episode. And of course, what would a plant be without plant parents? And boy, oh boy, you are all great plant parents. Sherry, Jeanette, Mama Kumu,
Florence,
and Munyao, and everyone else who contributed to this episode. We thank you.
See you, or rather, you will hear us next time for another episode of this podcast, which I think you'll agree. By now, we are pretty good parents, in quotes, or in, stars. So at least we are not too shabby at it.
Podcast parents, right?
Podcast
I
parents,
quite
yes.
agree.
Until then, that's it from me, Akumu, the good parent.
And me, Claire, the very loving parent.
The parent who needs to be good because she's passionate.
We are, in any case, the yes girls. Oh, yeah. Grow, baby, grow. Please, don't die.